Good day to you all, it's Cragum here, and we are doing White Dwarf issue 124, because I know I skipped out on 1, 2, 3, and easy as ABC. No, yes, so I forgot to do issue 1, 2, 3, slapping MrCragum. The reason for being was that time constraints and getting to reviewing the issue kind of came to a pointless point. So instead we're going to carry on with White Dwarf issue 124. The board game goodness arrives again in the form of the delightful Lost Patrol. Yes. So here's a tip: if you're a Tyranids player and you like Genestealers, this is an issue for you, as it is chock full of them. So we'll dive straight in. Great cover for it as always. Nice little start off is the Xenos attack, which covers the models you actually get for Lost Patrol. This issue is pretty much, as I'm forewarning you, isn't entirely about Lost Patrol, like in Genestealers and things like that. Kind of similar how they did the Silver Tower. It's like a kind of a more focus on one thing because it's a kind of one big thing coming out. So as you can see, first you see the lovely new box of Lost Patrol, obviously back from the dead of 2000. Looks like a great game. This issue covers a great thing on like how they play it, again like how they did with Silver Tower, and it's a really nice issue to read through because it kind of shows you how you play a game, which is what got me kind of into Silver Tower more, was knowing how to play it and having a run through. But as you can see, it shows you the 28 tiles you get, the 12 Genestealers, the 6 Scouts, and the 5 infestations, or whatever they are. And then obviously the rules and things like that. It's a good price now. I mean, like I know it's only 6 Scouts and 5 Scouts, not 6, 5 Scouts, and 12 Genestealers, but the board game itself is quite fun, and it actually only comes to £35, 50 euros, or $60. It's $60, so that can't be too bad. And 30 map tiles in there as well, as you can see, the little tiles. So it's a great issue. It looks really nice, and it's really simple. You can see there's this kind of nice, like, how there's the kind of, this is the target. These are some of the booby trap kind of style things what affect your scouts. Reading through this issue, you realise how hard Lost Patrol is. It's intense. Also, not just that, what's being released next week, we also have some more start collecting sets. Now, I feel like they are decreasing the numbers on the start collecting. I mean, I know there's a good saving in a sense of this because those sets are quite expensive because you're getting essentially 2 sets of the Militarium Tempest, and then you're also getting the Taurox, which no one wants, and a Commissar. So you're getting quite a bit saved there, but it doesn't feel like that big a box compared to like the Tau one or things like that. Whereas the Chaos one's a bit better. You're getting the Hellbrute, you're getting a full unit of men, and you're only getting a Terminator Lord. Now the problem I have with that is it just feels a bit like, with the Chaos, obviously we've all been waiting for something to come out, but this kind of fortifies the idea of that when we might be waiting a bit longer, with the fact that it's a bit annoying really. Would have hoped for kind of not them doing a start collecting Chaos Space Marines, especially after I've got my Chaos Space Marines. But yeah, so you get 10 Space Marines, 1 Hellbrute, and 1 Chaos Space Marine Terminator Lord. And they both obviously again retail at the lovely price of £50, 65 euros, or a good old $85. So the next, as I mentioned before, is a nice run through on the Lost Patrol, so titled Lost in the Jungle, and it runs you through how to play it. It's a great article. Kind of shows you the different phases for the setup, the Scout turn, the Genestealer turn, and it's great. It really is great. As you can see, like, really nice diagrams. This is what I miss in the olden day. Like, this is what I used to love about the olden day issues of White Dwarf, is having White Dwarf do something in the White Dwarf instead of just adverts. It's actually a game. It's essentially a kind of a battle report, and it's nice to see these battle reports. I mean, as you can see, I mean, I won't obviously say it because it's quite a good read actually to find out what happens, and it's selling me. I might actually in the future get this because it does really get quite good, and it say that like games can be quite quick. You can have another round, you could have another round, you could switch places to see if your opponent can take on the challenge, but nonetheless, it's really good. I have to say, the board game initiative, which has come out with a new kind of like reintroducing things, it's perfect timing. Silver Tower came out and was a massive hit, especially with myself. I've actually been painting some of the models, which I may show you now. Oh, look, what's this? Oh, we don't see this guy normally. What's this? Yes, it's my Barbarian. Sorry, Dark Oath Chieftain, not Barbarian. Sadly, the camera is not picking him up very well. Yeah, so I've been painting quite a few of the Silver Tower, actually. So that will be an updated video soon. But back to this. So yeah, from Silver Tower, obviously Silver Tower came out, and this is now coming out. Now feels like a great time that the kind of the game with the ships was a fantastic choice of game, and at the time it probably it didn't go well, and it kind of bombed. But for me, I felt that if that was re-released now, it would be perfect opportunity because board games seem to be perfect. People are getting into them. People are getting drawn into these games because as long as the price is right, I mean, admittedly, Silver Tower was expensive, but this is £35 and it's a great board game. And then you've got those models as well for kind of playing. You've got a unit of 5 scouts to add to any Space Marine army, or 12 Genestealers. Now, I like Genestealer models. I don't have them. I don't have a Tyranid army. I have a scout army, and I actually have about 10 scouts. So I can use them obviously. But this is a great thing because you're not necessarily going to always be using the models for the board game. You can use them for games, so it's quite good. The next article is Jungle Survival Tips, as known by Bear Grylls. Yeah, and Bear Grylls would say this, that Divide and Conquer, Sporting Fire, and Anyone Got a Map are fantastic techniques. Now, they make no sense to you unless you read these articles, but they are great. It's a great way of teaching you how to, as a scout, because the game is hard as a scout player. It is a great little article on how to survive the jungle quite well using these tactics of like breaking apart and everybody kind of like taking a tile and trying to get to the last tile as quickly as possible. There's a technique of taking 2 men one, 2 men the other place, then having a heavy bolter as supporting fire so those 2 men have enough manpower to fight off any Genestealers. Or there's a technique of where you have 2 guys in one spot and you're going to break off. You actually stay together because instead of breaking off, you could end up with a dead end, you could end up being lost completely, and that other guy has to come back round. So it's great. It really is a great little article for us. Next, now this is where I said before at the start, if you're a Genestealer fan or a Tyranid fan, God, you're going to love this issue because this is an entire article all about Genestealer genealogy. And some beautiful, that I've never seen. I presume that is in the Tyranid book. Sorry, the light is awful. I'm trying to get it right. But like the artwork's beautiful. And I have to say, I mean, when I first started playing 40k, things like that, I did have a shag load of Genestealers. And I did like them. And especially when they brought out these models with the kind of the tentacly faces, it was quite nice. Like I actually have a lictor with the tentacly face, what I want to paint up soon, but obviously I'm doing Silver Tower, so I kind of have to keep that on the back burner because I want to get Silver Tower done. But anyway, back to this. So this article is great. It tells you all about the years gone by of Tyranids. Now again, I want to get my hands on a copy of this now because it looks so fun. And after playing Silver Tower, I'm going back to Silver Tower again, but after playing Silver Tower, I really want to play with Genestealers and Terminators now, and especially with the new game coming out, I'm hoping there's a re-release. Fingers crossed. But yeah, so this article's great. It shows a great, like, lengthy article on, like, kind of some of the guys talking about Genestealers, how the Genestealers have gone through the ages. I mean, obviously, the Genestealers had the upgraded sprue. They used to just be the free claw like kind of thing. And then now we obviously have the Genestealer cult models re-released in this beautiful form for Deathwatch, and it tells you here actually. Did you know the Insidious Genestealers have appeared in a whopping 10 boxed games down the years, starting with their debut in the first edition of Space Hulk. More than any other faction bar the Space Marines, or obviously the Space Marines are the poster boys. So, but yes, you had Space Hulk First Edition, 1989, 1 year after my birth. Space Crusade, 1990. Then Tyranid Attack, 1992. Then Space Hulk Edition, Second Edition, 1994. Then it was Battle for McCrag, where it shows a 10-year gap between them having a box set. 2004 for them. Then Space Hulk Third Edition in 2009. Then we got a re-release, the awkward one, of Space Hulk in 4th edition in 2014. Then we got Shield of Baal Deathstorm, which is kind of, I suppose, a box set. Then Deathwatch Overkill with the Genestealer cult. And then, of course, Lost Patrol returning in 2016. Although it does make sense that Lost Patrol should be in there. As this is a re-release. But anyway, so that's a nice article on the Genestealers. And then we have got the spotlight of Gareth Nicholas. He's got some beautifully blended models on some lovely plinths. I, for one, I'm not a fan of elves. I'm really not, but he's painted that beautifully. And Salamanders is, if anything, I think if I was going to do a Space Marine army now, I was going to do Raptors at one point. I would have gone with, and I would go with Salamanders because they look so cool and just the burniness of them all. So he's got also Chaos Lord in there, and also Ultramarines, Legion, Praetor. Really nice, crisp paint jobs. Not what I can do. He's got quite a good big spotlight actually, because he's then got his Blood Angel's successor and High Elf Dragon Prince in there. This guy likes his elves and he likes his emo Space Marines apparently. But yeah, so really nice models, really nice kind of like going over each of those models. I'm not a fan of most of those models though, so yeah, we'll skip that. And then obviously this week in White Dwarf, more and more of the Lost Patrol, showing you as well how the models actually come in the solid red, and I think it's solid blue for the, and then it's a blue sprue for the Genestealers as a nod to the original Genestealers in the Space Hulk box. But yeah, so then it also gives you this stop the press, hope for your scouts. When Lost Patrol was first released, it quickly earned a reputation as an extremely challenging game for the Space Marine Scouts to win, and we've retained that for this version of the game. The following rules allow you to adjust the difficulty level in the game, should you feel the need. Of course, you can continue to use extreme mode, the default of the game, for an extra challenge. So it's great because he actually give you like this kind of where you can only have one Genestealer, two Genestealer, no Genestealers or whatever, and then obviously extreme mode, which is the actual game mode, is a maximum of 3 Genestealers can ever be on the dropship tile. So it's obviously that case of the more Genestealers there are on that tile, the least chance you have to win when you finally turn up with less scouts. Also got Reader's Model of the Week in there. Also, how did they do that? Want to know how to paint Genestealers in the classical blue and purple scheme? Here's how. Well, I'm not going to tell you because you're going to have to read it. Lazy buggers. No, I'm joking. It's painted with Cantor blue, followed by a wash of Nuln oil. It is then layered with Cantor blue, followed by highlights of allotype blue and Lothern blue, and the edges are chitinous plates. The plane's pale skin is painted with base coat of Demonette hide, followed by a layer of Warp Fiend grey, a wash of Druchi violet, and then highlights of Slaanesh grey and a pallid witch flesh, which is one of my favourite paints, and I can't find it. I would swear, buy this paint. Buy this paint, because if you want a nice white, that's how I did my white on my Space Marine armour, and it is perfect because it's just an off-white. It's not perfect and it's not too white. If you use white on things, I find it's just not realistic enough. Anyway, and so the weapon of the week is the Frag Cannon. It's a cool weapon, I really want to look at that. But this is what got me, is a return to Middle Earth. Yes, there is new, there is actually old models coming back for Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, But then an interesting thing is to say there will be plenty more models coming out in the near future, and in brackets, including new ones. So it's actually coming to Forge World from what I've heard. And they're going to be making new models. I'm a big fan of. I was a big fan of the Battle for Middle Earth and things like that. So I will be picking this up myself. I think some of the old models, because I quite like some of them. I still have the Hobbits, but yeah, it's really nice to see that they're bringing back Lord of the Rings. Presumably the license got redone, and I don't know why. There's some reason that they've decided now to do it. Maybe the new CEO's option is to do this because it was a good game. It was a great game, and I'm glad because the rules are back out there as well. And I got rid of all my elves like a fool. And last but not least, we have the last page, which is always nice. We've got the assassins, all 4 of them in their expensive goodness. I mean, the fact that they all cost together £100 is wrong. But or near £100 anyway. But then it says here, next issue, the Paths of the Elder, Reader's Models, and the Army of Death, which I presume is back to the Lord of the Rings. But it's interesting because it doesn't feel like there's a lot coming out next week. Because the fact that the Paths of the Elder, Reader's Models, there's nothing really there to sneak peek at. So yeah, it's quite interesting really to see that. But that is the last page, and as you can see, the last page we get to, the back page we actually get to see the 2 start collecting sets filling up an A4 piece of paper. So I hope you enjoyed that. As always, I know I didn't do last week's, and slappity wrist. But I will be back doing one next week. I also have a couple more review videos coming out as I'm looking into more of the Expanse of Silver Tower, and also I have got a couple of other hobby bits I want to review as well. So yeah, this has been Cragum. Enjoy your day, and don't forget to hit like, give us a comment, or hit subscribe, and enjoy more of my videos in the future. In the future. Not the 40k future, but the future. Maybe next week, maybe this week. Also, just as I remember, don't forget to enter the competition for the Battleborn cards. Free to enter, fun to enter, not fun to enter, but nonetheless, enter. Enjoy! Cragum Out.